Good morning, everyone. Different location today. Same house, but as you can see, I've got the poster up there. Excuse me. It's a funny story with the poster, actually. I'll go into that another time. Otherwise, I could do a whole video on that. It's just kind of funny. But today I wanted to talk about living. I'll step back a bit. Living with anxiety. Just like, I guess, like a trigger warning. I wouldn't say trigger warning, but I understand that watching a video on anxiety can be quite, it's not funny, can be quite anxiety inducing. I think it would be for me. And even thinking about making a video on anxiety has created anxiety, so you know, I kind of thought I'd talk about this because I have suffered, I don't like the word suffer, but I have suffered with anxiety I'm 22 now, so probably since I was 11. Primary school, so before that, I was very happy. I don't know, life was amazing. I wish I remembered more about that period of my life. I obviously remember quite a bit, but I wish that I could just like hold that and have like this abundance of memories that I could just kind of reflect on all the time. And I know that, well, not all the time, but just reflect on that and be able to almost like just just hold those memories, because I think that was an amazing part of my life. That time at primary school, it was a really, really good time. Secondary school, so this is 11 up to like 18, wasn't great. I won't go into like the reasons why, maybe another time, but that's sort of when my anxiety began, and it's something that I'm still struggling with now. If I'm being honest, I'd say I don't. Yeah, it's generalized. I don't know. I don't think I've had a formal diagnosis when I was younger, but I struggle with anxiety. Doesn't really matter if it's formal or not. This sort of just the reality is that it yeah. And I speak with my therapist a lot about this, obviously. Spoke to him last night, because I find that I don't want to make it all about me, because I want this to be something that people can watch, and I don't, not like advice, because like it doesn't feel really right. Like I might say things that have helped me, but I don't want it to come across as advice, because one, I'm not qualified, and also, I just think it's better to just kind of talk things through my own experience, and then maybe it can be of some use to other people. Maybe you can resonate with it and relate to it. So I think what I have kind of been thinking is what I'm anxious about. This could be, again, I won't go into details because it's not really about that. It's like, let's say I'm anxious about something from the past. When I am feeling anxious about that thing, it's often the thing itself that I'm anxious about. It's not changing. Like the memory, or that thing that is popping into my head, or that I'm ruminating over, or that I'm anxious about, that's a constant, that's the same. Okay, you can kind of like alter how the experience of it or think, but let's just say for the sake of this, it's the same thing that you're anxious about. Like the thing you're anxious about is the same, and it hasn't changed. That experience that you're anxious about, for example. But how you're feeling in the present moment is sort of like impacting how you're feeling about that anxious that experience is making you anxious. God, sorry, I'm waffling a lot. And I find that, let's say I've had a hard day at work, and I'm feeling a bit on edge or whatever. If I'm then thinking about something from the past and it's creating anxiety, I'm gonna struggle with dealing with that a lot more than, let's say I've had a really nice day at work, feeling really positive, that thing comes into my head. I'm like, okay, hello. I can sit with that because I feel in a mental state right now where I can just know this is, we've been here before. I think this is something to remind yourself. If it's something that is kind of popping into your head, but then on one given day you can feel okay about it, and that's not because you're kind of repressing it, and it's more you've come to terms with it. Sorry, that's my email. Come to terms with it to some extent, and the thing itself is just like it's living up here, but it's not actually impacting your now, apart from the fact it's living up here. Where was I going? But I think, yeah, so you can feel, if you can feel okay about that thing that you're anxious about at one time and then not okay about it another time, I think it's helpful for me to remind myself that I can feel okay about that thing that I'm anxious about. And it's in fact quite a lot of the time a result of how I'm feeling in that moment, in the now, that is bringing about an anxiety over something from the past, which I actually do feel and can feel somewhat at peace with, somewhat come to terms with, somewhat even indifferent about. And it's more a reflection of the anxiety or the stress or the worry that I'm feeling in the moment, that then just means that, boom, catastrophizing, boom, like, I can't deal with you because I'm not in a position right now to be able to deal with you. I say you, but like, you know what I mean, the thoughts. And then I think in terms of like anxiety over future things, I find that I think I've spoken about this a bit before. And it can be quite nihilistic, but I found in the past that when I sort of either become really worried about something because I'm setting all these ideas about what it's going to be like, it can even be in like what's meant to be a positive way of, I'm really excited, this is going to be the best thing in the world. If it doesn't meet that expectation, I'll feel pretty upset. If I excuse me, likewise, if I'm thinking this is going to be the worst thing in the world, I'm so scared about this, it's gonna make you feel horrible beforehand. Like, the kind of, I guess the caveat is that if you are setting your expectation of this is the worst thing in the world and you're imagining the worst scenario, the reality quite a lot of the time isn't going to be as bad. So that can sometimes actually work in your favor. But I think what I do is I try and go in with a level of like low expectation, not investing my emotions into an event. Like, even like I'll be excited, but I won't be like throwing my emotions and like into this thing, because I try and just be a bit more like I don't want to, but like more stoic about it and more chilled out about it, because then the actual event itself is then going to bring out those emotions anyway. So rather than sort of like, and that I guess in itself is sort of speaking to the fact that the anxiety can be like a nice excitement, but then it's already creating expectations, positive or negative. Don't get me wrong, excitement is a nice thing. Of course, like, we all get excited about things, but again, like being present in each moment and then allowing those sort of feelings to and emotions to come out in their entirety in that event, for example, is going to be a lot nicer, I would say, than already kind of playing out the event beforehand, thinking of all the ways that it could go wrong or everything that could be amazing about it, because then you are setting these expectations. Don't know why I went down that route. Never mind. But something that I have to remind myself quite a lot is that a lot of this stuff is up here. In fact, I guess you could say all of it is. Well, I think to an extent it is all up here, but the things that you're anxious about could be about the past, things that have gone, things that aren't here in the present. They could be about the future again. They're not here in the present. They could be anxiety over an ongoing thing. So, for example, for me, so I wouldn't give them an example, but for me, that could be anxiety over, anxiety over getting a new job and sort of finalising that, which is a very real anxiety. I'm okay with having that anxiety because that's something that is an ongoing thing that I have to deal with, and I am dealing with it. But it's when it's largely something that has come and gone, or has come and gone because it's from the past and you're now dwelling on it. And this could be something that's happened years ago, for example, or it could be just like a memory that's popping up that you don't want to deal with. And I think it's understanding where that's come from, understanding why it's coming up, what does it relate to. But that doesn't mean, if it's something that you feel like you've already come to terms with and you're only feeling different and like anxious about it now, then it can be good to think about how you're feeling now. What other things are you maybe anxious about? What's bringing that on now? And is it more a reflection of your current sort of mood, your emotions now, and it's just bringing these things up because you're in a vulnerable state where you might not be able to deal with those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions at the present moment. This isn't the best articulate. I kind of want to do another video because I think I've sort of just waffled on. This is what happens when I went in with a couple of ideas of what to talk about and then I just go off on a tangent. But I think one thing that I speak to my therapist a lot about is, and he kind of gives me some advice on, is learning to integrate everything from the past. This can be, so for example, you're not going to reflect on everything in the past positively. You don't need to. You can, it can be good to have a level of indifference, but you can also have negativity towards the past. It's just, I think, learning to integrate these things that have happened, these things about you, whatever your experience of these things, integrate them into you, not allow, well, this is again, like, I do this, I'm not saying don't do this, but trying not to allow things from the past to be pushed into your present and then affect your kind of present existence, because they're not really like providing you any value. They to some extent they can hurt you, but it's understanding that they also can't hurt you to an extent, because if you're able to live in the present and sort of see things for how they are, in the present moment, where these things are only affecting you because they are coming into your awareness, then when these things come into your awareness, not seeing it as get away, hostile, just kind of living with the anxiety, sitting with it, containing it, understanding your kind of coping mechanisms. That can be the journaling, that can be the meditating, that can be understanding, why are these coming in now? Are they just coming in for no reason? Are they linking to something completely different and a general anxiety about something else? Are they coming in because they are something that actually needs to be addressed? And maybe something that's been pushed down, which again, like, it is something that needs to be dealt with then. But if it's something that you feel like you've already dealt with and it's just coming up because you're not feeling good about something else, or you're generally not in a great mood, things like that, then it's understanding that and seeing the reality of it. And that's where things like the meditation and the journaling, the self-care, all these different tools and techniques can come in really handy. And yeah, sitting with the anxiety, not saying I want a life where I have no anxiety, because that's not feasible, that's not realistic. It's understanding that you have that anxiety. It can get better, but it's more about understanding it can exist, but you can, at the same time, you can live with it, and you can learn coping mechanisms. You can learn ways of sitting with the things that you don't like from the past, learning ways to enjoy the present, because you want to live a fulfilling life where you can enjoy the present, and understanding the things in the future, they haven't happened yet. You don't know what they're going to be. Think about all those times where you've been anxious about, I know this is quite cliche, but all the things that you've been anxious about in the future, and then they've happened, and your experience of them was nowhere near as bad as you thought. And again, I know we all know this, but remind yourself that most of the time, how your fears about that thing are, it's often not going to be as bad as you thought. Yeah. Doesn't feel like I've done the best job at talking about this, but I think that's okay, because I'm just kind of riffing. I'm just kind of speaking my mind and speaking about how I feel. I think the main things, and they're kind of buzzwords, but sitting, or like buzz phrases, but sitting with your anxiety, allowing the thoughts to come and go. This is what mindfulness teaches you and things like that. It's acknowledging the thoughts come in, but also not allowing it to consume you. And the same with containing things. It's okay, this thing, hi, you've been here before. Even if you haven't been here before, I'm going to acknowledge that you're here. If I need to then go and delve a bit deeper to understand what's going on, because I feel like it's either a new thing or something that I haven't fully addressed, okay, do that. If it's something that you've fully addressed, okay, you're coming up for a certain reason, I'll understand that. Or I don't even need to understand that, because it's just a cigar's a cigar, as Freud said. Sometimes it is just what it is. And then I think being present with your experience, being present with your life, because if you're constantly living in this past, don't know why past is this side, if you're constantly living in the past, then your actual fulfillment from the present is never going to be its full amount, or even close, because you're in your head most of the time. Again, that's where the mindfulness, the meditation can come in, because it's bringing that awareness back to the breath, back to the body, back to your actual experience in the now, rather than what is, to some extent, again, not real, because it's up here, and it isn't dangerous unless you're kind of, well, I don't want to say dangerous, but it isn't going to affect you unless you're kind of bringing it into the real world. You're projecting it, or you're kind of allowing it to taint or to warp your reality in the now, which again, like, is very common. I think we all do it. But it's understanding the difference between what is real and what's up here, and what can affect you versus what you can kind of contain in your head and therefore not allowed to affect you. I apologise, I don't think this is the best video, and I'm not trying to make it into some kind of advicey thing, but and I know that it might come across that way. It's more just talking about my experience and some things that I've learned, and I think I might do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever, and maybe reflect a bit more on the notes that I've made in my therapy sessions and generally what I've learned. I don't want to make it into a sciencey psychology sort of thing. It's not what we're here for. Although, okay, maybe some of you are here for the therapy training, but I think it aligns with that more than the psychology and all the research. And I'm not going to bring that into here today, because I want it to just be more like my experience and how can that potentially resonate with you? Are you able to get anything from this? That sort of thing. Yeah, but I probably will do more videos and maybe improve the way I'm talking about it. But yeah, I hope you enjoy that, and I hope it can be of some value. And I think another thing to remember, and I really hope that you're able to do this, and something that I need to be better at, is being kind to yourself and giving yourself the credit that you deserve, and also, yeah, just not being so hard on yourself, because I think we all deserve great things, and if you're constantly up here, you're not, even if you do have those great things, you're not going to be able to enjoy them as much. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a lovely day, and take care. See you tomorrow. Bye.